I think it's really important to know how to be the answer to that question when that cold traffic who is problem aware, is solution aware, is finding you. And then it's everything else on the page. Like not everything else other than SEO. Obviously, SEO is incredibly important, but it's the rest of that copy and it's the rest of that message that then allows people to say, yeah, I'm staying here and I want to keep finding answers from this person.
Hello and welcome to the Simple and Smart SEO Show,
where we provide tips and advice to improve your website's search engine ranking.
I am Brittany Herzberg, SEO copywriter for holistic health and wellness pros who want to show up as the answer to a Googled question.
And I'm Crystal Waddell, an e-commerce seller and content creator. I help business owners communicate the value of their products and services through content so you can make more sales and grow your business.
We're business besties who love learning and sharing what we've learned. So what are we waiting for? Let's jump in. All right, welcome back. We are here with one of my copywriting mentors, Brittany McBean. Say hi, and then Crystal's here as well. Say hi. You can say it out loud.
Hello.
I love how we start these things. I am so stoked. We're going to be talking about like research, messaging, conversions, SEO. We're going to loop it all together. We're going to figure this out together. So I'm stoked. You're stoked. Brittany, you want to tell us a little bit about you and who you are and who you help in the world?
I don't know what I do for a living.
Can you please keep that?
I love that.
Please.
All right. I am a conversion copywriter and launch strategist. So I own a micro agency and we write launches and funnels for our clients. Our clients are typically more established business owners who have validated offer and are typically working towards their $1 million launch funnels. But then I also mentor copywriters who are trying to establish and build a premium copywriting business. So that's what I do.
And she's really good.
Oh. Yeah.
Are the dots connected?
Yeah, they are. Okay. So I totally remember Brittany talking about you like so many times. And she was always talking about creating a premium copywriting business. So those words stand out to me. So
the dots are connected.
Well, it's her. But yeah,
it's both of us.
Work together.
This is going to be like the funniest month of podcasts because I was saying before we hit record, we've got Brittany, Crystal today. And coming up on a future episode, we're going to have Crystal, Brittany.
Should we have nicknames? Like
So I go by B on here. So as long as I won't throw you off. And then, I don't know, do you want a nickname? We can give you like a superhero nickname.
I feel like if I had thought about it before, I would have come up with like a good secret agent nickname, but I don't know how I'm going to deal with anything I come up with on the fly. So we'll just go with B and Brittany.
Okay. Let's see. How are we going to bring this back in?
This whole business of doubling and tripling your conversion rates, like what is the magic bean there?
Yeah. Short answer is messaging. The long answer is a lot of times my clients come in with a degree of success. They've made their first or second or third or fifth 6 figures on their offer, and they've done it using more traditional marketing strategies, ones that have been taught by marketing influencers, whatever you want to call them, the people at the top of the pyramid scheme that is the marketing coaching world. And they've used that to launch their program, their online course or their mentorship program or their coaching program or whatever that is. And it's gotten them so far, but they've also hit a plateau and they're usually feeling some degree of discontent around like things don't feel super aligned. Things feel a little icky. Maybe they're not actually getting the students that they really like. And so what it comes down to is relying on these gimmicks as opposed to like the actual messaging. And so what we do is dive really deep into what's going on with their people through a really in-depth research process and strip away all of the flashy gimmicks and the things that have traditionally been used to pique anxiety, to trigger a sale and to generate a lead to buy. And rather than generating sales that way, actually speaking to people in a really nuanced and in-depth and empathetic way to meet them right where they are and increasing conversions by really hitting the right message, I know I already said the word nuance, but a really unique message and one that like really speaks to where their audience is and also brings in the right student and also decreases refund requests and all of this stuff on the back end as well. So it's, stripping away the gimmicks and using the connection to actually increase conversions. And that seems to work every time. And more so, as I'm sure this is not a surprise to anyone. And I think all you have to do is scroll comment section and TikToks, understand what's going on. But our world did not used to be this chaotic and this terrifying and this stressful and this anxiety producing. So we used to respond to exterior anxieties, right? You tell me that something's going away and this is my last chance to buy. And this is a fast action bonus and I have to have this. And then I'm going to get really excited and be like, FOMO, I better get this. And we've seen enough of that we now know that's not actually true. I'm going to be able to buy this tomorrow because this is a false funnel. Or two, if I can't get it from you, that's fine. I don't care. I can get it from someone else because I'm not buying this today. But we now have that external anxiety that we cannot control because every time we open our phones or turn on the news, there's something so terrifying that it only used to belong in our post-apocalyptic movies, that the second there's another negative emotion that comes across our screen that we can control, we're clicking off. And what people are now wanting from their quote unquote content, I hate saying like content creators, but what they're wanting from what they're consuming are the things that bring them peace, the things that make them feel seen, the things that make them feel heard, the things that make them feel calm and like it's going to be okay and not stressed out. And so the pendulum is swinging. Yeah. I could say more about that, but I'll stop there.
Yeah, gosh, that's so true. I have learned the hard way through a heart event that happened to me in 2020 when I had broken heart syndrome from all that hot mess of a situation of a year and everything, that the only way that I can really stay away from it is just to turn it off. Like I don't watch the news. I took the Apple News app off my phone, all that type of stuff. So now I really choose which news and things that I listen to, but that's also not a real great way to stay informed, say if a hurricane is coming to North Carolina. But when you were talking about the message aligning and attracting the right people and like people you actually want to work with in your programs and stuff, I was like, do you think SEO helps? Do you think SEO plays a role in that alignment and getting the right people into your programs?
Yeah, I think at the most simplistic level, and I think a lot of your guests have shared something similar, and this is obviously something you all know as experts, but at the most simplistic level, SEO is strangers finding you as the answer to their question. And I think at more technical, complicated marketing jargon, it's cold traffic finding you when they are problem aware or solution aware. That is a reference to the 5 stages of awareness, which is a principle that was, I guess, created by a man named Eugene Schwartz. And that's probably something a lot of your audience is familiar with because you're really smart, but I'm happy to share more about that if you want. But that's an excellent time for someone to enter into your funnel. And if your message is the right message, like if you can connect that like with what they're searching for, right? If you get those keywords, whether there is some more nuance to it and you're really trying to reach a very specific certain person who uses this specific certain word, or whether you're just like, hey, I just want these people to find me. And then once they do, I want only the people that connect to this message to stay. I think it's really important to know how to be the answer to that question when that cold traffic who is problem aware, is solution aware, is finding you. And then it's everything else on the page. Like not everything else other than SEO. Obviously, SEO is incredibly important, but it's the rest of that copy and it's the rest of that message that then allows people to say, yeah, I'm staying here and I want to keep finding answers from this person, or I want to keep having them solve my problems, or learning solutions, or learning more about who this person is. Or how many times have you searched something and something comes up and you're like, yeah, that's not what I'm looking for. Or maybe that is the answer, but oh my God, I cannot watch this guy on YouTube scream at me while he's giving me the answer. So I think it's incredibly important, but you have to have the right strategy to get them there. But then like you have to know what you're saying to keep the right person there and moves into the next stage in the funnel.
I've seen from several different angles, you and your team do a really great job of remembering that person on the other side of the screen. So I think you do such a great job with the research processes that you have. And even in the copy creation, messaging creation, you're remembering who that person is. And I think that's something that we all could use a reminder of. Just remember there's another human on the other side of this who's actually consuming what you're putting out. And if it doesn't feel good to you when you're creating it, when you're putting it out there, it's probably not going to feel good to the person who's reading it. So that's one thing that I just want to drop our awareness into, because I've heard from so many business owners, they'll put things into practice that don't feel so good for them. And they know something feels off, but they don't really know what it is. And they don't necessarily know where else to look for a different solution or a different tip or strategy or something like that. Brittany here, and if you're a coach or service provider who is tired of spinning your wheels, showing up on social, and still somehow not signing clients, listen up. The Get More Coaching Clients bundle is here for 1 week, April 5th through 12th, and for $97, you get access to a curated collection of 30 plus resources to help you book more best fit clients. As a special surprise for podcast listeners, if you grab the bundle using the link below, you'll get an exclusive invite to a Q&A call with me, all about SEO and sales pages. Hope to see you there.
I think that's really insightful. It's something that we could all reflect on, because it's like, if we want to attract a certain person, what is that person like? And that's where this interesting level of research comes in. So when you mentioned the 5 stages of awareness, and I'm thinking to myself, where does SEO fit into the 5 stages of awareness? And it actually fits in at every stage in different ways. But I wondered if you could go ahead and just talk to us about what those 5 stages of awareness are.
Yeah, I'll keep it super brief because there is so much great information on the internet. I want to pop into YouTube and type in Brittany McBean, 5 stages of awareness. I have a great video that can help you out. Yeah,
love that.
How about that?
Go,
how about that? Eugene Swartz's principle, I can never say his name, so I'm just going to keep going. A person is in one of 5 stages of awareness when it comes to your product and their relationship to it. And so the 5 stages of awareness are unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware. So I'll go through that really quick. Unaware simply means they're unaware. I'm not going to go into depth because it's not likely that you would interact with someone at any point in your funnel that is unaware. And this is not a good place to spend marketing time, money, or effort. Someone who is problem aware is aware that they have a problem, but is not really aware of what the solutions are. And so when I say solutions, I can mean anything from paid to free offer, like any number of fixes to their problem. And so this is honestly, I just find this to be the easiest example. It's certainly not the only example, but let's say someone is struggling with their physical health, but they are feeling really fatigued and bloated. So they may not know that they have celiac disease or something, but they know that they feel fatigued and bloated, right? So they are problem aware. So when they move into solution aware, Chris is pointing at herself. When they move into solution aware, I'm laughing because of that.
Tell me more.
Yeah. And I should preface this. I don't know anything about what I'm talking about. I'm making this up for demonstrative purposes only. Please do not use this to diagnose yourself or honestly figure out literally anything. So when they move into solution aware, now they're like, okay, I probably feel fatigued and bloated because there's something going on with my physical health. I can go see a doctor. I can download the Noom. I can get a trainer I can get an online trainer or nutritionist. I can buy one of those kits where I can do like food sensitivity testing, right? So they're like aware of all the options, but they don't know which one is best for them. So once they're product aware, now they're aware of all these options, but they've honed in on one. So let's say you are an online nutritionist who also does food sensitivity testing for your clients. So now they're like, okay, I know this person. Let's call her Kanisha. I made that name up. I don't know if there's a Kanisha coach out there. There probably is. But I know that Kanisha does. Yeah. Hi, how are you doing? I hope you're having a great day. I know that Kanisha is a nutritional coach, and I know that she does testing for food sensitivity. I know that food sensitivity causes bloating and fatigue. I wonder if this has anything to do with me. I'm still like, maybe it's new, maybe it's this other stuff, but I'm interested in Kanisha. And when they are most aware, that's basically like they're on your sales page or your checkout cart. They are like pretty convinced that you are the solution to their problem, and they are about to take that buying step. So it really is like going through their journey. And you can map this out as a customer journey. This is literally a funnel. If you turn this thing vertically, it becomes a funnel, like top of funnel Facebook ad onto a landing page, onto an email sequence, onto a sales page, onto a webinar, whatever it is. This becomes your funnel that you are moving and coaching this person through these different stages of awareness as you're moving them closer to making a buying decision, whether that decision is yes or no.
And I have to say that you had a course. I'm going to butcher the name of it. What's the copywriting one?
Words That Convert.
That one. Okay. So that course, I was watching it, and I think it was you, right? Where you took the funnel and you tilted it on its side. Blew my mind. Literally, it just absolutely blew my mind. because when she took it and it went from like a funnel to like on its side of, this is the progression of what your client is going through. I was like, what? Like it's that simple. Anyway, that was amazing. I just have to say that. Oh, as you're talking about the different stages that our clients are in, I'm finding it fascinating. I am my client's ideal client. People are finding me. I am their ideal client. Like, no joke. I am able to do, because all of the copywriting that I do includes SEO, research, and strategy. So as I'm working with them, I know what people would search because I'm sitting here with my fingertips on my keyboard going, this is what I would look up. These are the words or the phrases that come to mind. So I find that really fascinating, and I think it might be a superpower and I need to bottle it up and sell it somehow. But it's really fun and it's very cool to notice that. And also to recognize, okay, what stage of awareness am I at? Is that also where your people are at? Let's go ask them. Let's go talk to them. So on that note, what kind of data are you and your team looking for to help you figure out what messaging and what copy needs to go out and what strategy you need to create to call in the right people who are at the right stage of awareness so that it's an easy yes for them to click buy or whatever?
That's a great question. It's really hard not to project. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you do have what almost is a leg up when you're like, oh, this is me. I was just searching for this. I was just looking for this, or I've been curious about this, or I actually just purchased this. But you still have to be objective in knowing, and that is just my lens. And that could be really helpful and valuable information and give us like 6 steps ahead. But you do have to maintain some sense of objectivity. And that, so what I like to do, because I am really good at what I do, and I do have a really strategic brain, and I do really enjoy like interpreting the data and then extracting the messages. And there has to be some sort of extrapolation. Like messaging cannot just be numerical data, right? But like I do that after we get the data. So you do have to stay objective. So really quick, I'll share a little bit like how we gathered the data. And then I want to give you a quick example of a time where I wasn't in the stage of awareness as the client we were reaching or the student we were reaching. And that was very recent. So anyway, when we're looking at the data, we're grabbing it from 3 different places, again, to try to hit that critical mass, right? And get as much of a holistic view as possible. I'm using all these buzzwords. Do I sound really smart? Okay. So we're looking at, first we're doing a cold audience data mine. And so this is actually where we're getting our like top of funnel messaging. So when I say cold audience data mine, that's what we call it. But this is pretty much your typical like research that you hear marketers, copywriters share as what you should do for standard market research. So I am going to my client's industry, but not their list, not their audience. So this is like searching Amazon book reviews, Facebook groups, Reddit, right? So taking my client, going outside their world and seeing what conversations people are having about this topic, this industry, this thing outside of their world. And so before they meet my client, before they're in their world, in their funnel, what kind of conversations are they having, right? And that's going to give us like that SEO, that Facebook ad, like all of that, like top of funnel content, right? So we're getting that. And then we're able to basically find the themes and then analyze that and actually put that messaging in like pie charts so that we get a physical hierarchy and we can see what we need to lead with in terms of the problem, what we need to lead with in terms of the negative stuff, problems, fears, anxieties. I don't focus on fears and anxieties. I want to know what they're experiencing and going through, the positive stuff, the outcomes, the goals, the dreams, desires, their hesitations, all of that stuff. And then we dive into a warm audience data mine. So we're sending surveys out to our audience list, our clients list. Our clients usually have larger lists. So we're able to get a pretty significant number of responses. And so we're typically polling both buyers and non-buyers, but obviously these are now the people like in their world. And so that's going to give me the messaging of the lowest hanging fruit, the people on their list, especially the non-buyers, like what are they experiencing? What are they going through that we don't have to pay for these leads. They're people that lead, but like they're already there. How can we speak to them? And also where are they after they come into your world? And then we're really able to gather some quantitative data there and like really come up with that hierarchy because that's where we get the most data. And then we do one-on-one interviews, and that's way more qualitative data. My team and I are sitting down having one-on-one interviews with our clients, students, the like audience members, basically readers, sometimes students, sometimes non-buyers, and just getting those more like slice of life moments, getting to really hear like the emotion, getting to understand like the nuance and what's going on. So we're not just looking at a survey response, and then getting to put all of that together to put together this more fully formed view of what's going on. And so in that, then we're able to discern. And then also, so that's all the external research, but then we're also looking at our client and what they do and what them or their organization teaches and what their product teaches and who are the students that are most likely to buy and who gets the most out of this product. And so then we can put together this picture of where someone is. So an example of that, we just wrapped a project with an organization that teaches astrology. One of my favorite clients I've ever had, which is funny because I've never really been into astrology. That's not something that's not like a way I see the world. I've never had a problem with it. It's just not something I have any information about. So I'm certainly in like the unaware / problem aware. I would be like, what is astrology? Explain astrology to me. Those would be my Google searches. But we quickly learned that her people are astrology aware. They have a first reading or a first touch point, and they have some foundational information, and they come to her organization called Astro Hub or Astrology Hub. If you're into astrology, you should check it out. She's absolutely incredible. But they come to this organization to get more education and more information. And so they are in the solution aware stage. And since I'm not solution aware and have none of that vocabulary, we had to use the research to gain that vocabulary and had to use the data to ask those people to tell us where they were so we could reflect that back to them. I could not project myself into that at all. I had to use what they were telling us, which also, yes, it's nice when you can intuit some stuff, but also it's really nice when you can say, I can't make assumptions. I can't make wrong assumptions here. And it's not like I'm right, you're wrong. I know it. It's just, this is what they're saying. This is what I have to go with.
I honestly feel like when you don't know what's going on, when you don't know the vocab, when you don't have any touch point into the subject matter, you learn so much from the people who are that person's audience.
You see it for what it is. And
and they're teaching you.
Yes. And when you can take what you know about the industry and what you do best, I'm not good at much. Like, I'm really not good at much else.
Stop it.
Like, no, it's true. Like, I think that I am very good at this and I really enjoy what I do. And I get that affirmation from our clients. And I do think like that whole like zone of genius thing, like if whatever that is, I think I'm in it, but I'm not good at much else, right? Like this is how my brain works. And so there is that, right? Like, there is that, okay, but it's like that meme of Julia Roberts and like all the math moving around. I feel like I start to see all the math like come together, even though I can't do math, right? Like once I'm looking at all that, but like when you don't know, you have to go with what's there and they're the ones telling you. And then my job is to take all of those pieces and be like, oh, this is how the puzzle goes together. Like, we don't have the picture that we're working with. They give us all the puzzle pieces and then we're like, this is the puzzle. This looks really good. This is how it works.
Yeah, you are totally speaking my language here because I love research as well. And all of this, it's funny. I never knew anything about UX research and UX design. And I'm always talking about it right now because I'm on this journey to learn about it. But I feel like everything you just described was some sort of alignment with obviously user experience research and design.
Yeah.
So it's so neat to see, like how you said, those puzzle pieces come together in my mind for understanding those pieces of awareness. And then I'm visualizing like the words flying in at each level. These are the words that belong in this particular stage of awareness, but you just made this that much more clear because I have this huge chart. And so now I can add the terminology cold market research to that top of funnel part of the process and then add the other warm audience data mine to the middle part of the process. And I just love it because it's like you're filling in these gaps. And I just think it's wonderful. Some people might be a little bit overwhelmed with this conversation.
Sure.
I can imagine my dad listening right now. And we talk about these episodes all the time. So I can't wait to talk about this one with him. But I wondered when Bea was talking about being her own client's ICA, for the first time, it also painted the picture for me of why we need personas for our research. Because when she said that, I thought, oh my gosh, yes. But then I realized, I was like, when you said, okay, not everybody's going to be just like Bea. Okay, so we can build out Bea pretty quickly and pretty easily. But then we have to ask that fun question that, who did we learn that from? Brenna? Who said that?
I don't know if it was Brenna or maybe Sunny. Oh, goodness. Just go listen to all of the podcast episodes. This is our plug for that, okay?
Yeah, it was either Brenna or Sunny that said, every time you do something, the next question is, what's next? So what's next in this situation is to build out another persona because obviously Bea's not the only type of person that's looking for holistic medicine or holistic ways to manage health or whatever it is. So those things really align for me. And that was a huge takeaway. So I just want to say thank you for that. And then the last comment I wanted to make, I think, for what you said is, and I have an illustration from my business as well, and I think I've talked about it before, but this idea that people sometimes bring in their experiences with the overall situation. Maybe they haven't had an experience with you, but say for my e-commerce store, maybe they've bought something online from a random e-commerce store that they didn't really know, and they had a bad experience. So once I realized that, I also realized, oh my goodness, I'm not just competing against other people who sell senior night gifts or wooden letters. I'm not just competing against those direct competitors of who sell what I sell. I'm also competing against their past experiences or their current expectations.
What we've started doing, and I do want to get back to that point of this is really overwhelming if you're a business owner, because it's super important to notice what is within my capacity to do as a business owner. Like, I do this as someone that my clients have hired me to do as an expert. Like, they give me $25,000 and I spend 13 weeks doing this for them, right? This is not likely something somebody's going to do for themselves. And there are things you can do for yourself. So we'll get to that, but I really want to acknowledge if you are doing this for your business, then you are probably not doing the rest of your business, right? This is my business. Okay. So what we have started doing, it is no secret that every market is saturated. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I actually think that's a really good thing. So if you do the same thing as me, then I'm going to be really loud about who I am. So you can be like, I love her or I hate her. Because if you want to work with me, then you probably don't want to work with this person. If you want to work with this person, you probably definitely don't want to work with me like that. Anyway, in 2020, and so I'm in the online business world. That's just the world that I'm in. And obviously it blew up in 2020. Registration went up 61% in the United States in Q3 of 2020 and kept rising until Q3 of 2021. Nobody has not been through a funnel. Nobody has not purchased something online. Nobody is not aware of an online course. Whereas before, my clients might have been engaging with someone as the first solution that they've ever encountered. And yes, obviously somebody's got to be the first, but it's just not likely that you're going to be the first at this point. So what we've started doing in the research that we're doing and in the deliverables that we're creating for our clients is creating two parallel journeys, almost like that stage of awareness journey. Like I map that out for our clients based on the research. And so one journey is as it relates to the problem that they're trying to solve. So the problem that my client solves for them. Just hit my mic. Hopefully that wasn't loud. The second journey is related to their experience trying to solve this problem. So let's go back to my astrology client, for example. One journey that we're mapping out is why they want to learn astrology and like what the problem that it solves in their life, this idea of uncertainty, this idea of feeling like there's something bigger, wanting to know more, wanting to understand their purpose, right? That's their journey with wanting to see astrology. But what we learned in the research, or wanting to understand astrology, what we learned in the research, that the biggest problem that they were expressing was not, I don't know where I came from. The problem they were expressing was every time I go to learn something about astrology, the information is so confusing, so convoluted, so all over the place that I can't make heads or tails of it. So we were like, last year, we were like, oh my gosh, there are two separate journeys going on. Like they are expressing problems, frustrations, anxieties, desires, hopes, and dreams as it relates to the solution, like how they're looking to solve this problem, like their actual experience with the product, with the fit. And then there's also this journey as it relates to the problem that they're trying to solve. And we didn't used to map that out. Like 2019, we weren't doing that. We were just doing like their problem to solution as based on the product that my client has and the problem that it solves for them. And now we're like, they have had an entire experience with other fixes, with other solutions, with other products. And that has created an entire separate journey that we are now speaking back into. And it's not likely that we are going to be speaking to people in a super aspirational place. They're likely jaded and frustrated. And so we now have to have all of this additional, not even additional messaging, because it's not about adding more copy, but we need to be, this is going to sound so gross, holding space for these experiences that
you got through it,
that they've had. I did it, if that makes sense.
One of the questions I had was like, how do you make them feel seen? And I think just acknowledging what they've been through is a simple enough thing.
all you have to do is reflect it back to them. You stick the knife in and twist it, you're going to make them feel worse. And that might make someone stick around for a hot minute, but eventually their therapist is going to be like, stop following that. That's not going to work. And if you pretend like it doesn't exist and you tell them it's just a limiting belief, then you have not validated that person's experience. Like, we don't have time for abusive relationships with marketers anymore. Like, we have them with our parents that we have to deal with. We don't have time to have them with marketers. So if you validate through like acknowledging and reflecting, they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel known, they feel understood, and they feel safe. And they will buy from you if they feel like you're safe. And we don't want to just make them feel like they're safe. We would like to actually create a safe environment for them as well.
So you said that we could bring this back to the person who's doing it on their own, like a more simplified, I don't know, version.
Affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah. The DIY version.
Yeah. The things that I mentioned before were cold audience, sending a survey, and one-on-one interviews. You can start there. The truth is, the more data you have, or the more information you have, more examples you have in front of you, the more accurate of a picture you're going to have. And so that can be overwhelming, trying to collect all of this information. But also, if you only find 5 responses in this one Facebook group, that could give you some tunnel vision that may not be the right direction. So maybe what it is that every quarter, you're going to spend 1 week on your market research, and you're going to pick one of these things to do. Maybe it is the cold audience. Maybe it is sending a survey. Maybe it is the one-on-one interviews. And you're going to see how much you can do in 2 days. Don't say, I'm going to go until I have 100 responses, because then you'll be going forever, right? Like, see how much you can do in 2 days. We can link in the show notes, but I do have basically a market research like resource, and it gives you the spreadsheets, basically the spreadsheets that I use in a little mini training on exactly how to collect this data and like how to organize it, because otherwise it just sits there and dies in a Google folder. So anyway, you're going to spend just a little bit of time every quarter doing one of these things and gathering a good amount of information. Truly go download this thing, because I walk you through what it looks like, but you're basically going to organize that information into patterns. And then once you see those patterns, so let's say like you are like, all right, this is the column in my spreadsheet of all the problems people are saying. Okay, now what, at the highest level, can I identify like the top 3 problems? And then put those responses in those top 3 categories. And then, okay, this is the number one problem people were saying. Now I know in my messaging, like that's probably the thing that I need to be talking about the most. And then when I'm actually getting down to write the copy, go looking for those answers and see what words were they using? How are they expressing this? How are they like talking about it? And you just, what are the negative things? What are the positive things? Keep it super simple, super easy. What are the negative things they're talking about? What are the positive things they're talking about? So maybe you're doing that with a cold audience. And then you're like, great, this is my top of funnel messaging. What are my top of funnel assets? Is it a podcast? Is it a YouTube channel? Is it a landing page? Is it my Facebook ads? Is it Instagram ads? How can I go and adjust the messaging? How can I go and change the messaging to reflect this new messaging hierarchy, this new strategy? And then maybe next quarter, the message matching is super important. So yes, it would be ideal to have a consistent messaging experience, but let's just do what we can when we can, right? So then maybe the next time you're sending out a list to, or a survey to your list, and maybe you're also posting some questions on social media, please get at least 50 responses. Anything over 150, you're just going to get redundant. So you don't need to analyze more than 150 responses. It's crazy town. It's just like, that's 8 hours of your life you'll never get back, but at least 50 responses. And you're going to do the same thing. And then you're like, okay, this is my warm audience. This is where they are. Now, how can I adjust the like content that I send to my email list? How can I adjust my sales emails? How can I adjust my promotional content, my webinar, all of that stuff, my sales page? And then the next quarter, hop on some one-on-one calls with your students and maybe some non-buyers you've identified who would be like ideal fits, and maybe some people who wouldn't be good fits. You're not going to identify that. You're not going to tell them that, but it's also important to know what brought you into my world and like what messaging maybe shouldn't I be using. We're not trying to kick them out, but you just want to be understanding what's going on and just get a better picture of, and just what are the negative patterns? What are the positive patterns? Like, you do not have to complicate it, but literally add those up to figure out what are the things that they're expressing the most. And like, maybe do that every year, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but like things change pretty fast. And like the 3 years that were 2020, that was similar for a lot of people, but especially in my world where it's pretty heavy in online marketing, 2022 was really, especially the second half of 2022, really different for people than 2020, 2021. We were like John Ralphio, flush with cash. 22 dried up. Like, so we have been very intentional with our customers' data, and we're saying like, show us all of your data from the last 2 years because we need to have a before and after because the last 6 months is not the same. And so you don't have to be doing this all the time. If things aren't working, if your conversion numbers are working, then don't spend all your time doing this. Go find the things that aren't working and fix that. But when things are shifting, just start talking to your people and seeing if you can figure out where you're missing the mark and try to stay objective as possible.
How did it feel to have tens of millions of dollars in Silicon Valley Bank on the day it collapsed? Check out the latest episode of Future Fit Founder to hear my guest, Harrison Tang, talk through his incredibly tense 24 hours. Go to futurefitfounder.com or any major platform to listen.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with conversion rates when I'm obsessed with e-commerce conversion rates, especially. And I saw something when I was working with a store. She had $7,000 to $8,000 worth of sales before 8 a.m. It was 8 a.m. her time, 11 a.m. my time. She was on the West Coast. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I saw her conversion rate and it was under 1%. And every time I have seen anything about e-commerce conversion rates, the target has always been at minimum 1%. And so it actually took a little bit of pressure off of me because I was like, okay, even if I'm not at that point, I can still make that kind of money. I just have to find the balance between the two. And I think that idea of interviewing someone who is not a good fit is such a great idea because there's a lot of people that will come into our world at Collage and Wood who can't necessarily afford the product that we're selling. And I've even seen that comment on ads that we've run on Facebook. It was like, oh, this isn't worth $300 or whatever. And I just smile because I'm like, whatever. But yeah, this to me is saying, whoa, something is missing in our targeting there because obviously our person is not going to say that. And they're definitely not going to leave a comment like that on Facebook.
Right. Yeah.
So I love that you talked about going back. And one of the things I like to remind people of is that SEO, the O stands for optimize. Go back and optimize. It doesn't have to be this, like you said, this big, long, drawn out month-long process where it's, I'm just going to be in my cave of research and talking to all the people. It's you still have a business to run, especially if we are talking to you and you're a solopreneur. You're wearing all the hats. You still have to run your business and you can get this information, get this data, get this language and go back and optimize things. So I really like that you called out what is your top of funnel product strategy, marketing tools. Is it a podcast, blog, whatever? Use that top of funnel research for that. Go back, talk to the warm audience, optimize those things, go back, talk to so I really like that you matched that up for everyone. And then the other thing I wanted to comment on, because I'm also rewatching a training that I've taken and something that I feel it's there, but it could be beefed up even more is if you're really, really new, if you haven't had that many people buy your thing, go through your thing, whatever, get some of the feedback from people that have worked with you or that have gone through your thing that can speak to you, to your qualities. Because we can't forget that I feel like a lot of times at the end of the day, people are I'm buying Crystal's wooden letter. I'm working with Brittany with her package. So I want to connect with you. I want to work with you. So we can't leave ourselves out of the equation. And if you're super fresh, super brand new, that's a really low hanging fruit that you can start with.
Yeah. And also, if we are just okay, who does my audience need me to be? Let me mold myself based on the research. It's who am I? Who do I know myself to be? What are my values? What am I not bending on? What do I want to advocate for and against? What is my personality? And then what does this research look like through that lens? What does this message look like through that lens? So it's certainly not about molding yourself. And the other thing that I'll say is what I hear so many times is everybody thinks I'll start with the website, which is the hard or a sales page or that's saying that it's the most technical and the most code and have to be designed. And it's you got to go into a back end and you're going to screw it up. And then you're going to be on support for 8 hours, right? My clients run multi-million-dollar businesses and we'll finish the strategy portion of our project before we write copy. And they're this was amazing. We're taking this strategy and I'm going to start testing this message out in our podcast episodes or in our broadcast emails. They don't go rewrite their website. They don't go fix another piece of copy. They're hey, in the next email we send out, we're sending it out all around this. And we've never talked about this before. And then they'll be like, oh my gosh, our responses, like people just were like all in their inbox, right? Just like test your messaging in the lowest, like easiest, like what is the laziest way you can test this messaging? Like stories, Instagram, your email, your podcast, lazy. But do not let that research live and die in a survey. That's the biggest mistake I see because people are like, do your market research, send a survey. Do your market research, interview your people. And then my clients would be like, okay, I sent a survey. And I'm like, amazing. What'd you do with that? They're like, I sent a survey.
And
also,
then
like,
what?
When you're a business owner, you're doing a million things. So no shame there. But if you're going to take the work to write that survey, and in the market research thing that I have, like, I basically tell you what questions to put on a survey and how to structure it. But then just look at those answers and just put them in some categories. That's all you have to do.
What I really appreciate about that feedback is the fact that you're giving social media a job, or you're giving Instagram or whatever platform you're using a job to do something that's going to help your business versus just getting on Instagram because someone said it was going to be good for your business in some way. I love that there's actually a purpose and a strategy behind that. And I'm thinking, oh, how could we use that? But that's the biggest and most important message, I think, is that we should use those other platforms as ways to improve our businesses rather than try to build their business by using their platform.
Yeah. The reason I'm not on social media is because I don't have a purpose or a strategy. I mean, I'm on it, but it's a desert wasteland because there's not a strategy or purpose for it right now. Like it has not been where my money has come from. There's not a strategy. Don't do it. But if you can come up with a strategy and it works, then do it strategically.
And that was actually something that when I went through 5-Figure Leap, that was like a strategy of mine that was challenged. And I appreciated that there was a little bit of pushback and it was like, this might not be your place. And so I was like, okay, what has come from my time on there? And I actually came up with a surprising amount of collaborations. Clients have come from there. So it's cool. It's working for me. Do I need to show up and break my brain and use every single like tool that's on there? No. That way I can figure out like, I had this conversation with a client yesterday. She's so resistant to social media. And I'm like, that's cool. Maybe you one day decide that you want to try some things. What lights you up? Because as I was talking with her on Zoom, like, her whole body language changed. She was just like, I hate this. I'm like, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Figure out what you like. Figure out, again, where you have the actual reward coming in, whether it's a lead, again, a person, whether it's like a potential client, a collaboration opportunity. Don't forget that sometimes it's just like a visibility opportunity too, that you might connect with on there. But yeah, put your energy and your effort in places that light you up and actually give you something back for your time.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the Venn diagram, like of the ROI plus it doesn't suck my soul.
Yeah.
You have to find the thing in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this is probably going to be the last question we might have time for, but I'm just curious. We talked about like the top of the funnel and the middle of the funnel and the messaging that goes there. What about the actual conversion piece? Is there a certain type of messaging or certain type of words that we're looking for in the conversion, like when they're actually ready to buy, that makes them make the choice? Is there a name or a way to categorize that type of language?
So traditionally, I would have told you, and traditional marketing tells you that when someone's at the bottom of the funnel, the details that they need to see. Top of funnel, we're making emotional decisions. Bottom of the funnel, we're making logical decisions. And so you share more details as you go down. And when you're at the closest to the bottom, the last touch point, the details that they need to see are things like urgency and scarcity and bonuses and all of that. Traditionally, that's what I would have said. What I now believe to be true is what people need to see even more at the bottom of the funnel is even more validation. So what we do in like our last few emails, so like, okay, checkout cart, we've got social proof. That's super important, right? So like social proof, bottom of the funnel. We've got the checkout cart is always going to have the top features as it relates to what the research said they care about the most, like the product tour with the top features, very transparent and obvious pricing. They don't have to do any math. We're not doing this like starting at $397 times 6. No, this is what it costs. This is whatever, right? And then social proof. So that's checkout cart. But like the last few emails that we're sending, we are validating the fact that they haven't made a decision yet. So we are saying like the fact that you haven't made a decision means that you're an incredibly discerning person. And this isn't just like blowing smoke up their booty to like whatever, but we're not using FOMO. We're not saying, make a decision now. Why are you still on the fence? Get off the fence. We're like, the fact that you're still reading this, like you are discerning about your decisions. You've been burned in the past. This needs to be an intentional investment. We're validating their critical thinking, their questioning, their discernment, basically, as opposed to card closing tomorrow. Oh my gosh, the card is closing, and after that, everybody explodes and the world ends and what's the speed, and then the price goes away and you can never ever get this again. That's what traditional marketing will tell you to do. I think that still works for some people, and I think that is going to work less and will continue to attribute to less student success, more student failure, and more refund requests. So yeah, it's again making them feel seen and heard, but maybe even more about now the logic is about that customer journey as it relates to the process of trying to solve their problem. So we're not speaking as much to the solution, but we're speaking like, you're reading this because you already know that you want this solution and that this is off and promising that, but like, you haven't made the decision because it's really hard to trust someone again. And it's really hard to try something just one more time. And that's okay. What information do you need? What questions do you have to make a decision? And telling them like, I don't want to make this decision for you because after tomorrow, if the card does close, if it actually closes, the decision will be made for you. So I would love you to be able to confidently decide no, if it's a no, or yes, if it's a yes, what information do you need from me? Here's the answers to some questions. Here's what other students have said. That's the kind of thing that we're doing at the bottom of the funnel.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Okay. So let's say someone is listening. They love you as much as we do, and they want to find you. Where can they go find you?
So if I always joke, like social media is just such an absolute joke for me. Like my whole team's like, Brittany, we should do social media. And I'm like, that sounds great. Who wants to do it for me? I am the most consistent and the most generous with the information that I teach on YouTube and on my email list. If you want to get on my email list, the freebie, I hate saying freebie, the market research thing that I mentioned, whether you want that or not, just grab that and that will get you on my email list. You can also subscribe anytime. But I do share YouTube videos where I just teach everything I know because I love the sound of my own voice and I don't know when to stop talking. If you would like to work together, we have some capacity left for 2023. And so it's just BrittanyMcBean.com/contact.
I love it. And you are so giving with all of the stuff that you share. But yeah, thank you so much for being here and for just sharing everything. I love every time I get to talk with you. There's always, you joke that there's not a whole lot that you do great, but there's always something that I learn from you, even if you feel like there's not. So thank you.
Sometimes the act of finding the right words is one of the most difficult parts. And we talk about keyword research, but again, if the words are not in alignment with the customer's journey, then they're not as effective as they could be. This is a deeper dive, and I really appreciate like how you segmented the strategy because it really shows, okay, these are the types of words that go towards for somebody who knows nothing. And that really solidifies that idea in my mind, and hopefully for whoever's listening right now, that the words that you use to talk to somebody who doesn't know about what you do are going to look a little different than the words to the people who do know what you do. But then you're going to go back to those original words to remind people of what they didn't know that now they do know when they're ready to make a purchasing decision. So those were some huge connections I thought that you made today in terms of SEO.
If you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know the words, the people have the words. The people have the words. It's so simple when they give you the thing. If I ever find that I'm stuck on a project, it's because I don't have the words from the right people. So the people have the words. Go talk to the people or go stalk what they've said on like Facebook or Amazon reviews or whatever. They've got the words for you. So it's not this big, giant, scary thing. It's totally tackleable.
And trust your instincts over marketers. Because marketers and copywriters will say, use their words, which is great advice, which is why Brittany just said it, why B just said it. But you will know if you're working in a really sensitive or painful area and where people aren't going to say these things out loud, or it's okay if they say it, but it's not okay if you say it. Nobody knows your people better than you. So trust your instincts. And just because a copywriter said use your words, you may know if it's not okay to use their words. So you may know if you need to use some synonyms or some coded language because your people need to see that you're sensitive and you know what they're going through, but they're not ready for you to say it out loud, or they're not ready for them to say it out loud. Trust yourself more than marketers. We don't really know what we're talking about that much.
Exactly. Thank you for saying we don't. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. You've been amazing. We could talk to you all day long, but we will catch you on the next episode. Thank you for listening. Go check out all of Brittany's things. We'll have everything linked below, and we'll catch you later.
Thanks for joining us today.
If you like this info, subscribe before you go, so you never miss out on something related to SEO.
See you next time. Hey guys, this is Crystal, one of your co-hosts from the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast. If you're looking for a unique, handcrafted way to spruce up your home or office, then collagenwood.com is the perfect place for you. We are a small, woman-owned business that offers a range of beautiful wooden signs for your home or office. Our talented team of artists will work with you to create a sign that perfectly suits your needs. So why wait? Use promo code SIMPLE10 to save 10%. Visit collagenwood.com today. Save 10% with promo code SIMPLE10. That's collagenwood.com.